For years, Father Esteban, the parish priest, and Sister Lucia, a devoted nun, hid a forbidden secret, an affair born from loneliness and guilt. Beneath the confessional, where sins were meant to be cleansed, theirs were conceived. From that secret came Elias, a child the world was never meant to know. The church raised Elias in shadows, calling him the caretaker's boy. No one questioned his presence. No one asked where he came from. He cleaned the pews, rang the bells, and lit candles for the souls of the dead, never realizing he was the sin they prayed against. One night, the sacristan, a bitter old servant named Matteo, discovered the truth. Drunk with malice and jealousy, he spread whispers through the town that the priest had broken his vows, that the nun had borne his child within the sacred walls. By morning, the church was deserted. The faithful turned away, the choir refused to sing. The holy place became a house of disgrace. Consumed by shame and guilt, Father Esteban climbed the attic and tied a rope to the rafters. His lifeless body swung above the altar, his final prayer unanswered. Sister Lucia, branded a sinner, was locked by the townsfolk inside the convent's forbidden room, left to starve, her cries echoing through the halls until they faded forever. Matteo, the sacristan, was found dead days later, his body bloated in the well behind the church, his lantern still burning beside him. No one knew who pushed him. Then came midnight. The church doors opened by themselves. The villagers gathered inside, drawn by a haunting melody. The choir, once silent, sang again. But as the final note echoed, the great bell crashed down from the steeple, decapitating every singer in a single blood-soaked instant. The fire began soon after. Flames devoured the church, trapping everyone inside. Their screams blended with the dying hymn. At dawn, amid the ashes, a single figure was seen walking away. Elias, his face calm, his eyes empty. The son of the priest and the nun had taken vengeance for the parents the world condemned. Since then, those who enter the ruins of the old church still hear the faint tolling of a bell and a boy's voice whispering, "Father, Mother, it's time for Mass." No one had entered the church attic for years, until Thomas saw the priest standing there motionless in the shadows. And confused, he called out,
"Father, it's late. What are you doing up there?"
The priest turned slowly and disappeared into the dark stairway. Curiosity gripped Thomas, his heart thudding as he climbed step by step into the dusty gloom. The air grew colder. The scent of burnt candles and decay filled the narrow attic. He saw footprints leading toward the altar chest, then silence. A faint creak echoed above him. Thomas turned and froze. The priest now stood before him, eyes lifeless, tongue protruding. When Thomas blinked, the priest was no longer standing. He was hanging from the rafters, his body swaying gently. The rope snapped, and something cold brushed Thomas's neck. Everyone in the convent warned Sister Maria never to enter the old room 13. They said a crying nun haunted it, forever begging for forgiveness. One stormy night, Maria heard the sobs echo louder than ever. Unable to resist, she opened the door, candle trembling in her hand. Inside, a nun sat on the floor, her back turned, weeping uncontrollably.
"Are you all right, sister?"
Maria whispered, stepping closer. The weeping stopped. The air went still. As Maria reached out, the nun's head twisted slowly, impossibly, until her face came into view. Hollow eyes, torn lips, skin stretched like wax. The ghost's voice hissed, When the sisters found the room the next day, only Maria's rosary lay on the floor. A midnight bells tolled as Peter walked past the old church well. The one villagers said swallowed souls. He noticed someone standing by it, a sacristan, motionless, back-turned, holding a lantern that flickered weakly in the mist. Peter called out,
What are you doing here this late?
No answer. The sacristan shifted slightly, then vanished into thin air. Peter rushed forward and peered into the well, the lantern's light trembling in his hands. The darkness inside seemed alive, whispering. Then he saw it, the sacristan's face staring up from the depths, pale and bloated, lips still moving in silent prayer. When Peter looked up again, a hand reached from the well and grabbed his wrist. A traveler passing by an abandoned church saw faint candlelight glowing within, and people entering in silence dressed in old robes. Curious, he followed them inside. The pews were filled, the air heavy with incense. A figure gestured for him to sit. He obeyed. He turned to thank the person beside him, but their skin looked waxy, their smile stiff, eyes glassy. The priest at the altar lifted his hands.
Let the dead receive their mass.
The candles flared with green fire. The traveler looked around. Every face was charred, melted, their mouths open in silent screams. The person beside him leaned close and whispered. When dawn came, he was found seated among the corpses, burned beyond recognition. Jacob was walking home when he heard faint singing coming from the old church. Beautiful, sorrowful voices echoing in the dead of night. He peeked through the cracked door. Candlelight flickered. A choir stood in neat rows dressed in tattered white robes. Their harmony was haunting, perfect, too perfect. Jacob stepped closer, drawn by the melody. As he approached the altar, the song stopped abruptly. One by one, the choir members turned toward him. Their robes fell open, and Jacob saw the truth. None of them had heads, their mouths still sang from the floor. The organ began to play by itself as Jacob screamed and joined the choir.